Go to DaveRamseyShow.com.
In the studio with me is Eli Karam, Dr. Eli Karam. His website is EliKaram.com. Karam is spelled K-A-R-A-M. I know many Karams that are E-Ms. Hi, Eli. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, my friend.
Is that a rare strain of Karam?
It is.
With the A-M on
it
the
is a rare strain of Karam. There's a story behind that. But I think when they were coming over on the boat,
somebody
grandfathers, they spelled it wrong, but there's a lot of E-Ms out there.
You are a couples and family therapist, University of Louisville Kent School of Social Work. And we're also going to talk about some relationship solutions clinics that are coming up, too, because there are oftentimes people who think, we're having some bumps in the road.
Right.
And I can't afford therapy, and it's probably more affordable than people think.
Yeah, you're also talking about in the show open, kind of giving back to the community. It's another way that Kent School of Social Work and the family therapy program helps couples, especially that need help, get some help in affordable ways, working with our community partners.
Indeed. I have a wonderful family I love dearly.
You do. You have a good family.
We do. Yeah, that's right. You know my wife.
As do I.
We're lucky guys.
That's right.
Let's look at it that way. Today, since we're not really going to talk about much on family issues, I'd like to get into the story that's reverberating everywhere, and it's Bill Cosby's story, and not about Bill Cosby, since you are a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
It's important, I think, that we are mindful that there are people on the other side of this story and we have to say, who are alleging they've been victimized. Clearly, rape is the most horrific of things a human could experience, but I guess a lot of people, if they say, well, I don't know, Bill Cosby, this or that or whatever, let's at least stay on that side of the aisle. Can you give us a window of some of the difficulties that are prolonged in someone's life who's been violated?
Exactly. A story like this brings up a lot. It brings up a lot about, certainly there are people out there that have had unspeakable kind of traumas and suffer from that, and physical traumas, but sexual abuse, in this case rape, is really something devastating in a number of ways. So people that have been raped, certainly they're at the highest risk for developing post-traumatic stress disorder of any other type of a stressor. Things that common like sleeping nightmares, severe anxiety, and other triggers, especially around which marriage and family therapists, especially couples therapists, see a lot around sexual dysfunction. So there's one thing about if you've had substantiated sexual abuse and the person has been brought to justice, in this case race, but we see the Bill Cosby story resonates for so many people around the country because there's many people that somebody in a position of power has violated them, and their story, they have not been vindicated, or they have been blamed as the victim.
Rape is horrific in any instance.
That's right.
But you're right. A person who has power, in this case, let's say,
right.
Again, these are allegations, but let's say he's the producer of a show. You're an actor, an aspiring actress who wants to move up in the business.
Right.
And then, some of these people have stories connected that way. They are show business connected.
Right.
There are others, obviously, who worked with him who said, I never saw anything. Well, that doesn't mean that he didn't do anything.
Right. Somebody that so how do you recover when really nobody believes your story, but you have been victimized? It's very difficult. So therapists work in a number of ways. First of all, they work to kind of validate that person's experience. Usually you are not going to come out, put yourself on the line, make an accusation like that unless there is a validity to it. So to be able to validate for somebody, first of all, if someone is in a position like this, whether it happened yesterday or it happened 20 or 30 years ago like this, to be able to get help for that is very important, because if you don't, obviously there are these post-traumatic stress-like symptoms, and including couples therapists will work with many couples that even though they're in a healthy relationship now, they have been sexually violated earlier in a past relationship, and even if their relationship is healthy and loving in many ways, just the nature of sex, which should be this pleasurable, one-on-one encounter that should be restorative, can be very anxiety-provoking, and for both people, especially if you're the partner who's never had any type of abuse, you're trying to love your partner, and unintentionally the last thing you want to do is cause pain, and you step onto a minefield that you don't know what you're stepping onto. So many couples will go and get this work as it pertains to sexual dysfunction that is originally caused because of some type of sexual trauma in one member of the couple's history. So we see that a lot, and you need a really understanding spouse and you want a couple and family therapist, a licensed marriage and family therapist that understands how to do work, and that includes cognitive behavioral work, developing what we call a trauma narrative, Terry, and that's basically an unburdening, a retelling of the story in a way that provides closure, relief, instead of these scenarios where, as we've seen in some of the news, these women have been made to feel like they're the victim for telling their story. So it's really a reparative, healing experience. But some people carry this around with them forever because it's one of life's great kind of things that cause shame.
Yeah, they don't want to feel shame. They don't want to be in front of cameras and be shamed publicly. And obviously, some people go after them in terms of, online or whatever, and call them names. And
that's right.
It's a horrific trap for people.
It is.
But through therapy, I would guess they could get a little better look at life.
Right.
Beyond that.
That's right. And some people also, we see it manifested sometimes because people have been violated in that way, especially with early abuse. Childhood sexual abuse is very damaging because it impacts the whole sexual development of young people. It confuses them sometimes about their own sexuality, or sometimes it makes them hypersexual. So their boundaries around people, how they use sex, kind of becomes distorted or dysfunctional. So you can work with someone recovering from this early on, and you can work with them later in life as they've gotten into their own relationship. I think the most important thing, though, is if you're listening to this or somebody's been touched by that, is do not discount someone's reality.
Right.
And help is very important, and to be able to kind of validate their need for help, even if you don't understand the story completely or what happened. There was obviously some trauma there, and some skilled professional, whether it be a licensed marriage and family therapist or someone that specializes in trauma work or PTSD, providing a culture of not blaming the victim and getting help for people is very important. And this story brings that really to light a lot.
Rolling Stone magazine proved not all cases are true, but that we all know that there's so truth in so many cases that people need some help. All right, we'll get to a different subject here in about 10 minutes or so. We're going to talk about families going off together on vacations and how to prepare for that, just to make sure that the vacation goes perfectly. Dr. Eli Karam, his website is elikaram.com.
Go to DaveRamseyShow.com.
In the studio with me is Eli Karam, Dr. Eli Karam. His website is elikaram.com. Karam is spelled Karam. I know many Karams that are EMs. Hi, Eli. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, my friend.